What is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc. Dr. Mike TV back again. Once again, it's the classic in the making, guys. I absolutely had no idea that Mexico and the Philippines were just alike. Let's get into it. So recently I came across one of our fellow traveling brethren's YouTube channel by the name of SPK Lifestyle. If you guys aren't subscribed to him, I encourage you guys to check out his channel. He does a lot with dealing with dieting and weight loss and things like that. But he's also one of those brothers who opted to get out of the United States and move to Mexico and make a home for himself in Mexico. Now, since he's been in Mexico, I think he's traveled to Colombia, as far as I know, in reference to the videos that I was able to view. So he has been to other countries rather than just staying in Mexico, being in Mexico and not really getting around. So in this one video that I came across, the top 5 shockers that, he experienced as a foreigner, black man moving to Mexico. When I watched the video in its entirety, I started to realize, these same shockers that he's going through, or the same shockers that he experienced, are damn near the exact same shockers that myself and other foreigners that moved to the Philippines can actually attest to being shockers for themselves as well. Now, let's go through the list of his particular shockers. I'm gonna let the video play itself out so that you can hear it from his mouth, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give my own, 2 cents or add to it in reference to that same exact shocker or experience in the Philippines. All right.
Me looking at my notes. So, the first one that blew me away was that the food is so cheap. And understand, cheap is relative. Again, if you make $300,000 a year, as opposed to you make $30,000 a year, some things will be cheap to you that's not cheap to the other person, okay? So cheap is relative. Now, when I say cheap, I'm taking it from, coming from the United States, what we're used to paying for food. 30 bucks, you go to a restaurant, that's about a meal. And they were calm and nice and everything. And I looked at the menu and it said, okay, this much for this much. And I started doing a conversion on my phone. And I was like, wow, prime steak, $10, right? For like big, thick, juicy steak, right? So $30, you can eat lobster and steak and big old pieces of chicken and delicious desserts. You see how it's easy to get fat when you come down?
So the first shocker that he mentions in his video is the fact that food is cheap. Now, when you come from the United States and, like he said, you're used to paying and going to not necessarily high class restaurants, but even your regular restaurants and spending like $30, $40, $50, $60, depending on if you're feeding yourself or a significant other. Going to the Philippines, in my personal opinion, and going to Mexico for him, you start to realize that when you go to these certain restaurants, the food portions, the food quantities are not necessarily the same, but neither are the prices. Now, there is one thing that I can honestly say in this particular video where he mentions it and how it differs from the Philippines. If you go to a high-class restaurant in the Philippines, any place where foreigners normally congregate, your Manila areas and stuff like that, you are likely still going to pay the US equivalency for a lot of high-class restaurants in the Philippines. You're not going to be able to go to, the Okada, which is like this very fancy casino in the Philippines that is, catering to your foreigners or your high-end, upper-class, rich type of foreigners. You're not going to be able to go into a place like the Okada and other fancy hotels and even some of the main restaurants that you might find in the Mall of Asia or any place where foreigners congregate in general and be able to get a meal at a steal for me. Now, again, like he said, wealth and what's affordable is definitely relative. If you're making a lot of money, 300,000 versus 30,000, like he said, yeah, you'll be able to determine relatively what is cheap and what is inexpensive to you in reference to others. Now, you can go to a buffet in the Philippines and still drop like 3,000. Okay, that's like $60. So you can say, that don't really add up, Mike. They kind of fluctuating around the same. But in general, in the general essence, of overall eating in the Philippines, cooking, going to the grocery store, getting the food, cooking for yourself, or just going to a normal restaurant, you're going to see definitely a difference in the prices. All right. Now, in reference to food quality in the Philippines, although it might be cheap, sometimes it's hit and miss. Depends on who's cooking it. Depends on where you're getting it from. Okay. Sometimes it's hit and miss. Your average restaurants, man, they cook their food up to par. Like, if you go to, there's a lot of different restaurants that stick out in my mind, but if you're going to places where they sell the traditional Filipino foods that you're actually willing to indulge in, your adobos, your sinigangs and things like that, you're definitely going to find that, you know, the quality of the food is up to par. I can't really vouch for that quality in a lower end restaurant or places like that. But then again, I've had some of my best meals in these hole in the wall carinderias that I found just walking down the street. I've had some of my best meals eating carinderia food. And until this day, even though I made that video about the pag and shit like that, even when I go back, guys, I'm definitely going to be on that. All right. So his first shocker was the cheapness of the food. I think the second shocker was the fact that you can't drink water out of the tap, dude.
The second thing is that you can't drink the water from the tap. No drinking the water from the tap. Now, in Mexico, it's more of a health issue. Now in Merida, I'm told the reason is that because there's heavy minerals like lime and stuff. And I don't know if they're getting the water from like an underwater aquifer or how they're getting the water and how it's being treated, but it's only for bathing. Some people don't even brush their teeth with it. I brush my teeth with it, but again, I'm not drinking the water, I'm using it to brush my teeth. In other places in Mexico, I'm told it's a bacterial issue. It's not the same reason that you can't drink tap water in all of Mexico.
The fact that we can't drink water out of the tap. Now, I've never drank tap water in the United States. Even if I did, we had one of those like water filters that you could screw on to the tap, and apparently it would filter it, you know, as it came through the cup. But I got that refrigerator thing where you could just get the water from the refrigerator and stuff here. So I've never really been a fan of, nor have I ever drunk or drank, I don't even know proper English for that right now, water out of the tap. It just don't seem like something I would do. And the same as it is in Mexico is the same as it is in the Philippines. These water bottles, the 5-gallon jugs, the 5-liter jugs, they are extremely cheap.
No drinking tap water. But the good news is that water is one of the cheapest things you can buy here. For like 50 cents or 60 cents, you can get like a 5-liter, big old giant thing of water for like 50 or 60 cents at the store. And I think like one of those big 5-gallon jugs is like $2. Water is, I mean, is extremely
They are extremely cheap. In the Philippines, you can get like 3 of these 5-gallon jugs. I don't know if they call it a special or whatever, but you can get 3 of the, is it 5-liter? Yeah, I think the 5-liter one's the big ones. I'm sorry. You can get those for like 35 pesos each. So you do the math on that. What? That's a little over how much? 50 cents is about 25 pesos, give or take. So what? For about maybe 60, 70, 75 cents. We'll just say 75 cents. You mean to tell me for 75 cents I can get a 5-liter gallon of water, and that'll be more than sufficient for me to drink with my little water refilling stations that they have, and you could put it on this little water stand, or you don't even have to use the water stand. You could just pour the shit from the jug, man. So it's so cheap to get water there. I don't really think I've ever had any issues brushing my teeth with the water in the Philippines, but it has been overall for the country not really a good idea for you to drink the water out of the tap. Now in Davao, and I want to put an asterisk next to this comment. I'm going to put a huge asterisk next to that comment that I'm about to make. Davao water has been somewhat assumed to be safe drinking water. Okay, the water from the tap in Davao has assumed to be great drinking water. Not great, I'm sorry, but okay for you guys to be able to drink. Okay. I have had water from the tap before in Davao. Nothing really happened. Even if you go to, like I said, the local carinderia, if I'm not buying a drink, likely the water they're going to give you is water from the tap. I've drunk or drank it and never really had an issue. Not saying that I'm encouraging you to do it. But myself personally, maybe it's because I got a cast iron stomach. Maybe I was just able to adapt or adjust very well. But I haven't had any problems with drinking water from the tap. Okay, so that was his number 2. The fact that you couldn't drink water from the tap. That's the exact same thing in the Philippines. You can even go to some hotels and it'll even say in a placard on the mirror or like a little thing on the side stand that says this water is not safe for drinking. You can go to places and it will warn you not to do that as well. So that was his number 2. His number 3 was not necessarily relevant to the Philippines, but the fact that they don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo, I'm just going to throw that one in there because that was his number 3. And then I think his number 4, and I might be getting this backwards, but I believed his number 4 was the fact that you can't flush toilet paper down the commode. Okay?
Next is going to be that you can't flush the paper down the toilet. Right? You can't flush toilet paper in the toilet. Now, I knew about this, but to actually do it, it definitely creeped me out a little bit. It was just like, bruh, I think that would be one of the main things why people would choose a different country, right? I'm not sure how many Latin countries this is, but not flushing toilet paper, having to, I don't even want to get graphic. But not being able to flush it down the toilet, it's just something about that. It's just like, gives me like the little shiver.
Okay. And this is the exact same thing in the Philippines, guys. This is the weirdest thing. And I'm trying to refrain from being graphic in this situation as well. But what I've noticed is if you go inside any bathroom in the Philippines, guys, you'll see a lot of toilet paper just wrapped up and thrown into the trash can. And it's clearly because you can't flush the toilet paper. It's not encouraged for you to do that. And, you know, it could have a lot to do with the septic tank system, the way that it's built, the way that it's manufactured, whether they may or may not have it at all. Granted, the toilet paper can be flushed if you just pour buckets of water down the toilet, since sometimes the flushing system doesn't work. You just have to flush it yourself by pouring water down the toilet. The fact of the matter is, we can't determine where that toilet paper is going to go, and we can't determine whether it will clog any of the system that is happening in the Blue Lagoon, or, you know, what's going on down beneath where the toilet is. So we don't necessarily know. So it's always been encouraged everywhere that I've been, do not flush the toilet paper. So you'll see a bunch of rolled up toilet paper in a trash can. So again, not without going into the graphics of it all, that is definitely something that was a shocker to me too, you know, because in the United States, it's like, you know, you just throw toilet paper in the toilet and you should be good to go. Sometimes all people do, man, they may blow their nose or something like that, and instead of throwing it in the trash, you'll see them throw it in the, you know, the toilet as well. So, you know, the way the system is set up, it is definitely discouraged for you to flush the toilet paper down the toilet. Okay, so that was also another shocker that a lot of us experienced in the Philippines, because at the end of the day, it was something that we did not see coming. It was something that we were like, well, I can do this in the United States, and why can't I do it here? You know, it's definitely a question. Now okay, I actually missed one, guys. I apologize. So I'm not gonna go back, because again, this isn't in order. But one of the other shockers, and this was the last one that he mentioned, that I think is absolutely on point, and I'm glad that I saved this one from last, and I'm glad that I missed it. It was the simple fact that it is very, very difficult to find large size clothing in the Philippines.
Fourth thing is, finding large clothes and shoes is a hassle. So don't ask me why I wear size 13 shoes, but I'm 5'9". I don't know, I don't understand, I don't ask these questions, right? But that's the case. Now, I knew coming down here from some people that I talked to that I was not gonna be able to find my shoe size, right? I knew that, but I still went and looked anyway. Actual shoes, okay. Clothes also, even though there are beast people here, there's no big and tall stores. So finding a 3X or a 4X shirt, finding 3X pants, don't count on it. You're gonna be lucky. It won't be in Walmart. I go in Walmart all the time, and most they have is the extra grande. That's it. No double extra grandes, no.
in the Philippines. Guys, you may come across obese Filipinos and Filipinas. People who are overweight. Yes, they can find clothes, but for your big and tall types of foreigners, your 6'5" individuals looking for a shirt to wear, they might be a little bit on the heavier side, damn near impossible to find. Okay, it's just gonna be close to impossible to find because the clothes there don't cater to men that are built that way. Okay, they may have a size. Even in his video, he says that the highest size he was able to come across, even in a Walmart, now we're talking about a Walmart, was like an extra grande or an extra large. In the Philippines, the same rules apply. And what you guys will notice if you've ever bought anything in the Philippines is the simple fact that a extra large in Filipino size is not the same as an extra large in the American size. So I would equate an extra large in Filipino sizes to maybe a large in American sizes. So whenever the t-shirt game or the way that the clothes are cut, they're cut differently. So if you're going to come to the Philippines, guys, you got to come fully equipped if you're built a little different. You know, if you're a bigger guy, such as myself, you got to come with your own clothing. Now, I can find clothing in my size, but I'm pushing it on the top end. We're talking about extra larges and things like that I'm going to be wearing. You know, now, granted, a lot of my body structure is like in my shoulders and shit. And, you know, because I got broad shoulders and like my shit's a little large up here, you know, that's where it starts to get uncomfortable in like the sleeve area because it's like cutting off your circulation because the shit's so damn tight, you know, so you're going to run into those problems. So I recommend if you plan on moving, trying to prepare your clothes accordingly. Now, if you want to go about it like my man SPK Lifestyle actually, you know, encourages and praises and preaches about, you know, losing weight, getting yourself together, maybe you can fit into those Filipino sizes. But, you know, again, with the food situation, it could definitely be a way that you're going to gain weight because the food, even in the Philippines, if you ask me, is awesome. It tastes good and it's damn cheap depending on where you go, of course. So again, those constitute his 5 biggest shockers. Out of all of the 5, 4 of them definitely applicable to the Philippines as well. And at that moment, I realized the Philippines and Mexico, in reference to the things that shock us as foreigners, they're damn near about the same, guys. Damn near about the same. All right. If you guys enjoyed this video, man, y'all make sure y'all throw a like up on this video. Make sure you subscribe, notify, do all the good things to make yourself well versed in the good dice content. This has been a reaction video. Shout out to the brother SPK Lifestyle, another fellow traveling brother. You know, I rock with him. I enjoy his content, man. Dude's got some good content. So if you're not familiar with his channel, man, go over there, check it out. You can even say Dr. Mike sent you if you want to in the comment section. But guys, check him out. Do what you got to do. It has been fun. It has been real. Time for the good doc to go and get to getting. With that being said, good doc officially out at least Neko by 11, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.